Joy to the world, the Lord is something. Welcome everyone to the Bucket List Reviews. My name is Gibran and today is the Christmas special edition, and I'm gonna be making my bucket list pick a Christmas film. Actually, it's one of the most strangest and the most exciting summer blockbusters of the 80s, but was oddly enough disguised as a Christmas film, The Gremlins. One of the many reasons why this film makes it on my list is that how weird, insane and genre blending this film really is. It starts off innocently as a Christmas film but ends up being a monster movie madness, and I love every minute of it. Gremlins is a small town America story. A father wants to surprise his son for a Christmas present and ends up buying a small gizmo. But the shopkeeper warns him of three simple rules. Number 1, do not expose Gizmo to direct light. Number 2, do not get him wet. Number 3, do not feed him after midnight. And of course, all these three rules are somehow broken, and now it's up to the family to stop gremlins from taking over the town. Now, the concept of gremlins creating havoc has actually been with us for a long time now. It's been part of pop culture since the 1940s, where the Second World War pilots used to complain that how gremlins is actually tinkering in their plane and creating havoc with the technical equipment of the plane. And there's actually a very famous Merry Melodies short about it.
Hey, get a load of this, folks. It says here, a constant menace to pilots are the Gremlins.
Now, before I get into the review, I want to talk about the trailer of Gremlins. And this trailer did not reveal any of the Gremlins. And if you watch this trailer, it hyped you enough to go into the theaters and actually find out Gremlins for yourself. And I really think they had a lot of balls to do that back then, because I cannot imagine any big commercial film with a lot of special effects doing this at the moment. The producers want the money shot to be in the trailer, so people would just go buy the ticket and watch it. Even if they hate the film, they at least get the money from the audience member. I think it was a really ballsy move back then. Gremlins is actually one of those films that if you're flipping through channels and you come across the Gremlins, you just have to watch it. It's like Goodfellas, you just have to watch it till the end. Now, the film was directed by Joe Dante and it was written by Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus is actually famous for writing the Home Alone films. When you watch this film, it's pretty obvious that Joe Dante never wanted to do a traditional Christmas film. Like, he wanted to make a Christmas film but add or blend genres in between it, and in this case it's comedy horror. And a perfect example of comedy horror from the 80s is actually also Ghostbusters. Now, the film actually is very self-aware of the tropes that you find in a mainstream Hollywood film, and it kind of combines all these tropes of a Christmas film, a movie monster film, and at the end of the day, a dark comedy film, and it blends it so well together that it's a very unique product of its time. So, for example, one of the many tropes that you find in a monster film is that, so number 1, the monsters invade Earth. Number 2, our protagonist finds these aliens and tries to make everyone aware about them. Number 3, he goes to the cops, but the cops laugh at him and they make fun of him. And number 4, everyone finds out about them, and now it's up to our protagonist to save the day. Now, the film follows all of these tropes, and one of the many characters that Zach Galligan is surrounding himself are all stereotypes of Christmas films or movie monster films. I especially love the character of Mrs. Deagle in the film. She's so incredibly evil and insane that it's impossible not to laugh at her whenever she's on screen. And she actually gets one of the best comeuppings from Gremlins that actually could be one of the most funniest scenes I've ever seen in a film.
I warned you, rat!
And as many would know, this film was actually produced by Steven Spielberg, and ironically, Gremlins is actually almost a parody of one of Steven Spielberg's own masterpieces, E.T. It's really hard to define the atmosphere of the Gremlins without being bogged down to its finest details. There are tons of sci-fi references you'll find throughout the film that I can't even point them out in this one video. There's a lot of cameos you'll find from famous actors and also from Steven Spielberg. Like, not only the film is beautifully written, but the devil certainly is in the details. But one of the most outrageous and perplexing scenes has nothing to do with the Gremlins at all. It actually has to do with the main character of the film. And it's the part when she talks about, you know what, just watch.
Me and Mom were decorating the tree, waiting for Dad to come home from work. 4 or 5 days went by. Neither one of us could eat or sleep. The house was freezing, so I went to try to light up the fire, and that's when I noticed the smell. And me and Mom were expecting them to pull out a dead cat or a bird, and instead they pulled out my father. He'd been climbing down the chimney on Christmas Eve, his arms loaded with presents. He was gonna surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck, died instantly. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
Awesome. Either Joe Dante is an insane person or he's just trolling with his audience. But in any case, it's creative, it's unique, and it's actually my favorite kind of humor. And of course, one cannot talk about this one without mentioning the special effects. And the special effects, I feel, still hold up to this day. The special effects are mainly done by puppetry and a lot of backdrop projection. I mean, yeah, Gizmo looks a little toy-like now, but the Gremlins still look fucking terrifying, and I would shit my pants if I saw them in real life. The puppets were actually designed by Chris Wallace, and they're actually famous for working with David Cronenberg in a lot of his films like The Fly and Naked Lunch. The Gremlins, I feel, is a genre-blending masterpiece. It's satirical, yes, but it also has a lot of heart to it. It's a very beautiful Christmas tale, but also filled with a lot of gore, a lot of monster madness. And similar to Ghostbusters, The Gremlins is a perfect mixture of comedy and horror come together, with a little smidge of Christmas magic to it. So if you're looking for a film to enjoy this Christmas Eve, look no further. The Gremlins is here to stay. And I'm gonna give this film a 5 snacks after midnight. So, that was my review of The Gremlins. I wanna wish all my viewers Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see each other next year, so peace.